It really was too hot to be outside, but I couldn't bring myself to go in that house yet. I still stood with one hand shading my eyes, looking down the dirt road. Some armchair psychologist might say I was in shock, but I wasn't. I just couldn't figure out how to get my legs to move in that direction when my heart, my soul, had just gone off in the other. I've been standing there at least 15 minutes and it was becoming pretty apparent that John Patrick was serious. He wasn't coming back. 6 years, and no, that's not in counting the years when we was younger. And he could so easily walk away, and more to the point, get in the truck that I helped pay for and drive away. Hell, he'd even made the tires spit a little gravel. My mama told me once when I was a little bitty thing, never buy shoes for a man he'll walk away for you in them. Far as I know, in all the years they've been married, Papa has always had to buy his own shoes. And I guess that saying holds true for trucks too. Well, I knew standing out in the sun wasn't going to accomplish anything aside from making my freckles more prominent across the bridge of my nose, so I mustered up the courage to return to the cool embrace of my house. I was careful not to slam the screen door because that drives John Patrick up the wall. He was always saying, "We ain't no trailer park trash, girl. Stop letting that screen slam shut." He threatened to take it off the hinges a time or two when I forget and let it bang against the door frame. Halfway across the living room floor, I said to hell with it and went back to the front door, slamming the screen extra hard just to show how pissed I was. How dare he leave? And in the truck that I helped pay for. I know we said we were going to wait a few more years before we started a family. And truth be told, the marriage license wouldn't have hurt none neither. But John Patrick was all about doing it in his own way, in his own time. I gently touched my stomach, which was still as flat as my Grammy's old washboard, and thought that's how this all came about. We had to do it John Patrick's way. He didn't want to stop even for a second. Now he's gone like it's all my fault. The longer I stood there thinking on the situation, the madder I got. And well, I hadn't inherited my papa's red hair and Irish temper for nothing. We see who needed whom. And I looked around, decided the first thing I needed was a garbage bag, and a big one. And finding one, I marched into our bedroom, snatching up clothes from the floor, from the chair, from the bed. My first thought had been to leave before he returned, but then I thought, to hell with that. If he got the truck, by God, I'd get the house and the 2 acres it sat on, pig. As soon as the word baby came out of my mouth, he just stood there. I thought he was going to faint dead away, but I was kind of glad that he didn't. We live in Texas, and this ain't no place for a man as big as John Patrick is to faint, especially not when the only help around is a woman as small as I am, and really not when said woman is carrying a tiny little miracle inside of her. But nope, John Patrick hadn't fainted. He just mumbled something about messing up his plans, and I know I heard Ann, as always. Then he hopped in that truck and drove away, spitting gravel. And did I tell you I helped pay for that truck? I opened up drawers, crawled on the closet floor to be certain I hadn't missed anything. When I was certain everything of his was in that bag, including his toothbrush, I pulled and tugged with all my might, trying to get it to the front door without tearing it none. I had stopped and wiped my brow, because my house was cool, but throwing the man out was hard work. I'd never actually done it before, but I heard tell. And I saw that movie where that lady hauled everything to her man's car, then burned it. I saw it twice, actually, the movie that is. But her man wasn't near as big as John Patrick is, and she ain't near as tiny as me. It was obvious that big men had big stuff. Well, as I stood there sweating through my t-shirt, wishing for a bath, I was trying to decide how I wanted to dispose of my ill-gotten treasure. Should I make a statement and put it at the curb with the rest of the trash, or burn it like the lady in the movie? That would have been a classy move. Except the problem was he drove off in the truck, so I couldn't do exactly what she did. I was just deciding to settle for a regular old country bonfire in the backyard when I happened to look up and see a trail of dust coming down the road. I stepped out on the porch intending to give the miscreant a piece of my mind. There were children who lived further down this road, and we didn't need no strangers barreling down it. My stomach may still be flat, but I was looking out for that little one in particular. Stepping out across the grass, I had to shade my eyes because it was still too hot to be fooling around outside. You ever been in a Texas summer? Well, you know it if you have been. Let me tell you, it ain't like nothing you'll ever forget. It's almost like a joke among the weather gods. Just how hot can we make it in Texas today? Trust me, they can make it pretty damn hot. To me, it just don't make no plain sense at all for the temperature to exceed 100 degrees on a daily basis. What is the purpose of such heat? And a heat index. But I suppose that's why I ain't in charge of the weather. But I got to the end of my path, and who should it be driving like all the demons from hell was a chasing him but John Patrick. That's when I noticed the other 3 trucks coming up fast behind him, and I started smiling. I couldn't help it. Either 2 things had happened. One, John Patrick aimed to kick me out and brought my 7 brothers along to help with my things, or they had somehow found out he was leaving me and they was gonna kick his ass but good, and that's why he was driving like all the demons from hell was a chasing him, because they were, or at least 7 of Satan's meanest were. I knew as soon as I explained how I needed the house more than he did, my brothers would back any play I made, especially Clayton and Tyree, on the count that I always was their soft spot. Being the only girl and all, being the baby of the bunch, didn't hurt none neither. Yep, John Patrick was a big man, but so were my brothers, and he was going to get what is labeled an old-fashioned ass licking, and I couldn't wait. After all the years we've been together, he could just hightail it out of here like that, all because of the little miracle growing just beneath my heart. He deserved to have his ass kicked. John Patrick was halfway across the porch before Samuel Ray pointed out I was standing in the yard. I marched towards him just a screaming. My papa always said that what I lacked in size, I more than made up for with my mouth. He said it was sharper than any razor and as deadly as a loaded shotgun, and you better believe I gave it to John Patrick, had him have it with both barrels full in the chest. Then just so my brothers knew I didn't care about them bruising him, I hit him. First time since we were 10 years old, I hit him. Square in the chest with both of my hands fisted together. He cursed and grabbed me, turning me before I could land a kick. He lifted me on his hip a little bit so my feet dangled off the ground, and he carried me riding his hip into the house. My brothers were all whooping and laughing, especially Jackson Lee. He liked to see me manhandle, always had. I suffered the indignity because I knew I'd get the last laugh. Really, it was kind of hard to make out what my brothers was hollering about because John Patrick was cursing up a blue tree. I was going to have to remember to say an extra prayer for his black soul. Imagine cursing like that. But I guess it was sort of called for since he nearly tripped over his things. In all the commotion, I hadn't had a chance to get the bag out of the doorway. But finally, I landed on the couch. I wasn't going to stay there, though, because I had my papa's temper, and by now I was good and mad. John Patrick wasn't in the mood to struggle, though, when he put his weight down on me. Never could get up again once he did that, but I could still swing, and I gave him a good one, right in his eye. That started him cursing again. I was sure his eye would be black by morning. I was wondering what was keeping my brothers. The twins, Joe and Jamie, should have been towering over John Patrick by now. The element of surprise was the way the fella big man and David Anthony told me that himself. And just then, John Patrick grabbed a hold of my hand so I couldn't swing anymore, and he shoved something on my finger. Still cursing about his eye. I stopped struggling, but not because he was hurt, but because of what he done. There on my finger was the most beautiful ring I'd ever seen. Or at least I thought it was beautiful. Truth be told, I couldn't really see it anymore on account that my eyes was filling up with tears. I just lay there underneath that big old man of mine and stared at my finger. Or at least the direction I'd last seen it in, and I cried. He kept muttering about messing up his plans and something about my birthday, which was still 2 months away, but I didn't hear him. I just grabbed his face and kissed him with my whole heart. My soul was in that kiss. You ever kiss someone like that? With your whole soul just hanging out? Well, I've been kissing John Patrick like that for as long as I can remember. Then my brothers were all there hooting and laughing and throwing names at me. Each one wanted the baby to be named after him. That wasn't near about possible, though, on the count that I got me 7 brothers. Seems John Patrick was planning on proposing on my birthday. He had it all planned up special, but he figured my news trumped his news. He said he was so intent on making it to the jewelers before they closed, he just sort of left. He picked up the Magnificent Seven, that's what they like to call themselves, because he was a few dollars short of Marine. And Tyree nearly choked on the few dollar part, but Samuel Ray gave him a nice pound between the shoulder blades. He straightened right on up. John Patrick glared at him and reminded Tyree his plans had included 2 more months of weekly payments, and in unison, all my brothers said they still do. I smiled at that, invited them all back for dinner later to celebrate, then promptly kicked them all out. John Patrick inquired as to why all his things were in a bag at the front door, and I knew I had to keep him preoccupied, so I kissed him again. It was another one of those soul kisses. He forgot all about that bag, same as when we were 16, sneaking kisses on my daddy's front porch. He told me then that when I kiss him like that, he can't think. Same thing still holds true. Those soul kisses are powerful stuff. If they're deep enough, they can make a body forget his own name. Actually, we forgot about a whole lot of things that night, even celebrate with my brothers. But it's okay. Because when you have a family as big as mine, every time you get together, it's sort of like a mini celebration anyway. I don't even think any of my mama boys came back that night. I can't guess if they called or not. We sort of knocked the phone off the hook, or at least John Patrick did. He mumbled something about nobody screwing up his plans for the evening. He was like that, my John Patrick. It had to be his way and his time. But I don't mind. I think his time is coming first.